That was the case in Balin's location. I hope that is the case for you, but we're seeing quite a bit of wind across the board. Little weaker just to the southwest. In fact, we're seeing, looks like the reflectivities are letting up in intensity just a little bit for areas southwest out towards Abbeville and Lafayette. But this is all racing to the east. This is the fastest moving line segment. Emma Kate, if you could offer your query this warning out towards Greensburg here and see the updated trajectory on this, how fast is this moving?
It is moving at, let's see.
It should still be in the ballpark.
65 miles an hour,
yes,
yep.
65 miles per hour.
So just about the same.
That is ridiculous. That's literally the speed that we drive on the interstate. So let's clear off this screen, Emma Kate, and if we could zoom in just a little tighter, and I say a little tighter because in order to do a storm track, that might even be too tight. We need to be able to extend pretty far. Look at that too, north of Slidell. That's a tornado warning. Yep. And that's wave 1 that we saw earlier this morning. This is wave 2 moving in now, but our friends to the east still dealing with wave 1. They've got this to contend with a little bit later on. So, yes, this is moving east at 65 miles per hour. Emma Kate's going to draw that on your screen.
Yeah, now we do have a flash flood warning for East Central Ascension Parish, South Central Livingston Parish, Northwestern St. Charles, as well as St. James and St. John. And that's where we're seeing just continuous downpours that could cause some localized flash flooding. So just be aware that's another reason not to get on those roadways, along with the strong winds and just the low visibilities. Also, the water buildup on those roadways will be dangerous.
Yeah, of course, we have that flood watch. And it's actually important to note that this area was not in the flood watch, but everyone's got that risk because we're dealing with the torrential downpours with these storms, and they still got wave 2. That's actually still round 1 activity over southeastern Ascension Parish and getting into St. James Parish. Wave number 2 still lurks just to the west. I want to go back up north just a little bit, though, to give our friends in the path of that 80-mile-per-hour wind stretch, though. If we could draw a storm track east at about, let's say, 65 miles per hour, that'd be perfect. And let's remind you, a 74-mile-per-hour wind speed, that is hurricane force, and these would be hurricane force wind gusts. So we're going to draw that east. This is going to go so far. This is going to go way off the screen.
You said 75?
65. There you go. And there you see some of the times, estimated times of arrival. Whoops. We'll have to redraw that. But yeah, this is going to be on the doorstep of Central, Denham Springs. In fact, this is probably moving into Central and Denham Springs right now. Walker, Livingston, all going to be dealing with this very, very shortly. French Settlement, this is an estimated time of arrival, not exact, because earlier in this storm's life cycle, it was moving east at 75 miles per hour. Now it's moving east at 65, so sometimes there's some ebb and flow. You want to give yourself a little bit of wiggle room in order to take shelter. Livingston by 8:49, and notice the time, that's 8:44. That's in just a couple minutes here. Montpelier by 8:53, Amite City by 9, and then in the 9 o'clock hour, we're watching Tangipahoa Parish. Hammond, Ponchatoula, just shortly after 9 o'clock. It's 8:45, so that's about 15 to 30 minutes or so. And this goes east. And this is going to race out of the Channel 2 coverage area pretty quickly. This is the fastest moving line segment, and it's also packing the strongest winds. It's interesting to note, too, that the storm motion itself will tack on to the storm-generated wind speeds. And you may notice this bowing feature. That is where we're seeing what we call a rear inflow jet surging outward, descending to the ground. And that is where we're seeing some pretty strong winds. That's a look at what's going on right now. Looks like we're having some more issues out there on the roads and with power outages. Lauren has an update on that.
Thank you so much, Malcolm. Yeah, definitely power outages out there, but as far as how it could affect your commute, LA1 completely shut down at this time due to downed trees and power lines. This is on LA1, closed north and southbound near LA78. Look, you can see this entire stretch here completely shut down because of those down power lines. Trees falling down because of the heavy winds. Also, all roads closed near West Feliciana High School this morning due to the same problem, heavy winds, down power lines, fallen trees. So a lot happening out on the roadways this morning, and we're getting Balin out there to see exactly what's going on, and we will keep you guys updated. I know Brandy and JP have a full list of those power outages that they're going to get to you, but look at this. This traffic camera can't even be seen right now. You can see it's kind of shaking because of how bad the winds are blowing at this time. This is on I-10 at LA77, so a lot going on out there. A lot of roadways closed. Of course, we're going to keep you updated on that, and as Malcolm was saying, we're definitely having some problems with electricity being out across the area. So JP and Brandy, you tell us a little bit more about that.
All right, Lauren, thanks for that. Well, let's take you up to St. Francisville in West Feliciana Parish right now, one of the hardest hit areas. Joining us on the phone, Superintendent of Schools Hollis Milton. Hollis, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, tell us where you are and what you're seeing.
So I live in the southern part of the West Feliciana Parish, so Highway 61, due north of you guys along the Mississippi. And around 7:45 this morning, we went from some light rain to just very intense weather. The skies darkened like you'd see with tornadic type weather, high gusting winds, very intense. That cell lasted approximately 45 minutes, and I have not been around the parish yet, but I'm picking up reports of what it was able to do. And just even in my neighborhood, I've been able to see some of the trees and, some of the limbs and things that have fallen. And I would imagine in places some major trees fell down. I do know that electricity is out in large parts of our parish, including St. Francisville. I'm in the southern part of the parish, and, we've had some blinks, but the electricity has fortunately stayed on for us. But I would advise anybody that's, further out when these cells come through to take shelter, to be very careful, as these winds are very damaging.
Hollis, as we're talking, I'm listening to you, and I'm looking at the DEMCO outage map. And in West Feliciana, they serve 4,600 people, 4,300 without lights this morning. So 93% of West Feliciana Parish without electricity right now. Tell us, how intense is it where you are in that southern part of West Feliciana? Are you seeing a lot of thunder and lightning? Is the wind still blowing? Because it's been blowing pretty hard here at the News 2 studio.
Absolutely. It comes and goes. Like I said, that approximately 45-minute cell was one of the most intense cells that I've witnessed in a very, very long time. After that, it comes and goes. It hasn't been quite as intense as that, but it's still raining here, lightning and thunder, and you'll still get some nice wind gusts, but not to the intensity that we had, I guess an hour earlier or so.
Yeah, Hollis, we're getting reports that many of the major roadways in West Feliciana Parish are closed because of debris on the roadways. What are you hearing about that? And I know the schools are number one on your list, and you canceled class today, which was a great move, obviously. Any reports of any damage at any of the schools?
Not as of yet. We're going to send a team out. Obviously, right now we're holding back, just waiting to let some of the worst weather get through and make sure that it's safe. And we'll go out there and do an exhaustive report to see what we have. And as you said, a lot of trees on the road, and that's not to be expected. Once we notice with these type of wind gusts, what makes West Feliciana beautiful is all the trees, the topography up here. But obviously in a storm, it's going to produce a lot of trees falling on the roads, falling on power lines. So it'll take a while to get everything back up and running. And of course, that'll be later today once some of the stronger storms are well past us. But we'll definitely see what we have, and hopefully our schools fared well.
Hollis, we are getting reports of deputies reporting down trees throughout the area there in West Feliciana, and that all roads are closed. Are you seeing anybody on the roads this morning, and have you heard anything about roadways in the West Feliciana area being closed?
I've heard some reports of some of the roads closed. I'm not sure which one specifically. I believe Highway 10, which is a major thoroughfare through West Feliciana, is having some struggles. What I can tell you is right up on the highway, on Highway 61, at a normal day, you would hear traffic, a lot of traffic moving in and out. There's very little traffic on the road, and anything that I've actually seen has been more fire trucks, emergency service type vehicles, and sheriff's deputies. So I think most people are taking the right advice and staying home until these roads can be cleared out and deemed safe again.
Yeah, you were one of the first school districts yesterday to make the call to cancel classes today, and a lot of school districts have done that. Talking to parents, talking to people who live in West Feliciana, what would be your message to them for the next few hours about this storm and what they should be doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Please stay home. Please stay home. Be patient. Before you get out on the highways, make sure that you've talked to folks, whether it be the sheriff's department or fire department, who can guide you and give you good direction on, which way you should traverse the parish. And just make sure the best thing you can do is stay put for now, and let those emergency crews and the fire department and those experts do their jobs to get these roads cleared, and of course Demco and Entergy to get these power lines restored, or at least placed in a safe place where it's not a problem for us to cross. So if folks can just heed that, I think that's the big piece now, and we'll start the recovery process.
Well, Hollis, thank you so much for calling in this morning and keeping us up to date of what's happening in West Feliciana. Please make sure you stay safe, and please call in again if there are any other updates and if there's any other emergency information we need to get to the public. I do want to remind everyone, 93%, according to Demco, 93% of West Feliciana without electricity right now.
Yeah, Hollis, let us be your connection and your source to get that information out to our viewers and all of the fine folks who live up in the Felicianas, because this is going to be going on for the next few hours. But check in with us again and stay safe. Thank you so much for calling in.
Absolutely. Thank you for all the reporting. You guys stay safe as well.
All right, he's Hollis Milton, Superintendent of Schools in West Feliciana. A very busy morning up there. And as you were just saying, Brandy, lots of power outages there. He's one of the lucky ones. His power, he said it blinked on and off, but now it is still on, but he lives in the southern part of the parish.
JP, we're looking at the energy outage map right now. In East Baton Rouge, more than 5,000 people without power, and then it kind of goes from there. We've got a lot. We're trying our best to keep you guys updated. This is, as Emma, Kate, and Malcolm have been telling us, this is a fast-moving storm. Pretty much the entire town of Zachary, you see it right there at the north of East Baton Rouge Parish, completely without power. It doesn't look like there's any power in the city of Zachary. Also, over there in Point Capee Parish along False River, between New Roads and north of I-10, it looks like Irwinville, all along False River, Rosedale, all of that's without power, and it's all a result of this strong moving storm. And as you can see in the northern part of East Baton Rouge Parish, there's a nice little pocket there that's also without power this morning. JP, this is a strong, fast-moving storm that's causing a lot of damage.
Yeah, just a few minutes ago, we could hear the winds and the rains right outside the studios of Channel 2 really kicking up. And as Malcolm was telling us, in some areas, some of these wind gusts were hurricane-force winds, and apparently it's changing once again. Malcolm, what do you have for us?
Well, I've got in my hand all of the printouts. This is about as busy as it gets for South Louisiana. Just a ton of severe thunderstorm warnings, even a couple of tornado warnings in the mix. At this time, we only have 3 storm reports. This is preliminary, though. We're going to get more storm reports as the morning wears on. As far as wind gusts go, we have a 60-mile-per-hour wind gust report, 1 mile east-northeast of St. Francisville near New Road. So we're talking Point Capee Parish, at least 60-mile-per-hour winds. Those would be tropical storm force winds, but the potential was for up to 80 miles per hour with that line of thunderstorms. We also have a report of wind damage in St. Francisville. This will likely update as we go a little bit further in time. Let's advance forward here and show you some of the power outages. These are impressive. 74% of West Feliciana Parish is without power. 25% of East Feliciana Parish without power. Point Capee, yeah, 50%. And those numbers will likely continue to rise as we go east. In fact, we made a prediction not too long ago that we would likely start seeing some more populated parishes popping up on this list as we get further in time. A reminder that we do have a tornado watch in effect through 1 o'clock this afternoon. That is the time I want you on guard for any potential severe weather. We've been saying have a way to receive weather alerts, and today is the day that all the ingredients overlapped. Everything came together just right in order to see strong to severe thunderstorms. A lot of damaging straight line winds, a few embedded circulations. It's still possible as we go through the early afternoon. I am confident, though, as we get past 1 o'clock, things should begin to quiet down quite a bit. So, Emma Kate, I heard a couple of printouts. Anything new of substance that we need to mention?
We do have a new flash flood warning that includes parts of East Baton Rouge Parish, East Feliciana, Point Capee, and West Baton Rouge, as well as West Feliciana. And that's just where we've seen those heavy downpours over the past hour or so that are continuing as the system treks east. So definitely could deal with some flash flooding on the roadways and low-lying areas prone to flash flooding. So take it easy out there. Of course, we've been stressing all morning. If you do not have to get on those roadways, please just avoid it because things are a bit messy.
You know, we've had a long morning, Emma Kate, and I can't remember exactly when this line moved into Baton Rouge. Do you remember about what time it moved in? I would imagine it'd be around 8:15-ish.
Yeah, give or take.
Yeah, memory's not serving me very well there, but look at the rainfall totals since 12 a.m. You could see over 1 inches on average in the Baton Rouge area. In fact, even a little bit heavier closer to Point Capee and Iberville Parish, where we see average accumulations over 2 inches. That's why we see that flash flood warning in place for Baton Rouge. And that's going to be a problem as we continue to commute. Be on the lookout for some ponding, some areas of localized flooding and standing water as there's a lot of heavy rain out there. And it looks like we have a new warning. Where is that for, Kate?
The new severe thunderstorm warning.
Well, I thought I heard the radio going off over there.
I think that was still for the flood.
Oh, the flash flood. Okay,
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
So let's set the stage here. If we could broaden back out to the area-wide perspective, we've got a line of thunderstorms passing through the Channel 2 coverage area. Right now in Baton Rouge, still some gusty winds, but I think the worst of it is over for Baton Rouge. Still dealing with some rain. Rain will continue to fall, so we've got that flash flood warning in place, and more rain is possible. So be advised, that could be an issue as we go a little bit further in time. There's the leading edge of the line. Let's zoom in a little bit closer to Amite County and St. Helena Parish. Greensburg is right along the leading edge. That is where we're seeing the strongest winds. This is going to move into Tangipahoa Parish pretty shortly. I-55 travelers. This is going to be a problem pretty soon. Then as we go farther south, you see some heavy rain in Walker. You see lots of heavy rain in Ascension Parish. Ascension Parish has seen a lot of rain this morning. They've been kind of at that battleground between wave 1 and wave 2 because, of course, we had some stronger storms a little bit earlier towards the beginning of tune-in. I'm going to step off camera for just a second because I want to see some of the information. Let's do an off-air query on this. Yeah, still the potential for up to 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and that severe thunderstorm warning for Livingston, St. Helena, and Tangipahoa Parish expires at 9:30, so that's about 30 minutes from now, and I see no signs of this letting up. This is going to continue east into Washington and St. Tammany Parish. You might even notice that red polygon towards the far right-hand portion of your screen, so our friends to the east, north of Slidell, getting out into southeastern Mississippi, they've got a tornado warning there. That is not us. But that severe weather threat still continues on to the east. If you remember correctly, yesterday we had actually I do remember this, we had a level 4 out of 5 risk for severe weather. That's something we've been talking about for quite some time, and this was the area specifically that was bracketed in that level 4 out of 5 risk for severe weather. So really well done by the Storm Prediction Center because that is where we've seen the worst of things.
Absolutely.
But even down here towards Gonzales, Napoleonville, still some strong gusty winds possible there. Probably not as strong, but still could be enough to be an inconvenience. So no tornado warnings in progress. That is exactly what we like to see. But of course, we still have that tornado watch in effect. And Kate, if you want to take everyone through that tornado watch.
Yep, until 1 p.m. today, all the highlighted areas, all of us here in southeast Louisiana, as that line continues to move east over the next couple of hours. It has been moving fairly quickly, which is good news to get on out of here, but this is in effect until 1 p.m. this afternoon, so you need to make sure to stay weather aware through then. And just as a reminder, when we have a watch that is prefacing the warning, so during, just got cut down to taking out St. Mary Parish, still including everyone else in the WBRZ coverage area though, so keep that in mind. The watch is when you prepare for the warning, so go ahead and have that game plan ready. Know where you will be if a warning is issued.
And I should mention, it is 9 o'clock right now, and for those of you who may be tuning in to, we are going to continue this coverage through 10 a.m. on ABC, so just do know that because we do still have a strong to severe thunderstorm threat. Potential is there for up to 80-mile-per-hour winds. We want to keep you safe at home as this line of storms rolls through. Of course, we just talked... we just had a phone interview. It was pretty gnarly damage getting north of Baton Rouge, and I imagine some of those reports will filter in. That's a look at our weather. I believe we have Lauren on standby. Is that correct? Okay, yeah, let's send it to Lauren. She's got an update with some things happening out there on the roads and with respect to power outages. Lauren?
Yeah, Malcolm, thank you very much. And I mean, you can see on the traffic map, the weather is here and it is severely affecting your commute in some areas. So right now you need to know there's down power lines, and that's going to be on LA1. That's going to be north and southbound just near LA78. So do keep this in mind as you're traveling. You can see right here this entire stretch as indicated on the map, road completely closed, so you cannot drive through that area. Really, you shouldn't have to be driving or shouldn't be driving this morning if not necessary. Right now, we do have all roads closed near West Feliciana High School. We were just doing a phoner. Right now, the power lines are down also on parts of Airline this morning, so do keep that in mind. And again, that's around that West Feliciana area. But right now, a big problem in the city. We've got a wreck on the Mississippi River Bridge as we're heading westbound this morning. Right lane blocked. It's really wreaking havoc right now on the bridge. You can see scene very active. Now it looks like 2 lanes completely blocked, and the bridge already wet. Roadway's already wet, so this can make it very dangerous for travel. Do keep this in mind. You will come to an abrupt stop as you're traveling the Mississippi River Bridge. Right at the top of the bridge is where we're starting to see those slowdowns, so drive very carefully, pay close attention. Now, of course, we're going to get more information on this. I'm going to be updating you guys on this wreck on the bridge. You can definitely see that it is a very active scene at this time, and of course, that's that right lane. Actually, 2 lanes blocked on the Mississippi River Bridge westbound as you are trying to make your way down the bridge heading westbound this morning. So keep this in mind. Going to run into some abrupt stops. But of course, all of this has a lot to do, or pretty much everything to do, with the weather. So we're going to get back to the weather and see what's happening there.
Yeah, that's right, Lauren. For areas east of Baton Rouge, we are dealing with the severe weather threat still. There's the leading edge of the line of thunderstorms. Some very strong winds with this. Still won't rule out an isolated tornado, but it's been an encouraging sign that we haven't seen any tornado warnings in quite some time. We've been covering a couple this morning, one notably in Point Copee Parish going into West Feliciana Parish, but right now, no tornado warnings in progress. But we still have the potential for up to 80-mile-per-hour winds, and this is getting really close to the I-55 corridor. For areas west of here, this transitions more to I would say a flooding threat. You can see that area over Baton Rouge. Let's zoom in a little closer to that, Emma Kate. You see that flash flood warning in effect for Baton Rouge, where we've had on average between about 1 and 1.5 inches since, at least since midnight. Areas in the northwest, even heavier amounts. This is what we call a trailing stratiform region. You have the leading edge of the thunderstorms, of the convection, and behind that you have rain basically blowing back behind it, and it's falling out as lighter and sometimes moderate precipitation. That is why we see some of those yellows and oranges popping up. But we just had a blast of heavy rain come through, and then we have light to moderate rain following for a period of maybe 1, 2, 3 hours after the fact. So we've got that flash flood warning as a result. Just isolated standing water issues, something you just want to keep an eye on, something we're going to be watching very closely here at the storm station. Let's zoom in a little closer to Tangipahoa Parish. This is the strongest part of the storm right now. Montpelier dealing with some heavy rain. You likely just had a good blast of wind. Let's zoom in just a little closer to see some of the roads. Obviously, there is I-55. There's Amite City, Independence, a little farther south, Roseland there. And notice that too. This is actually really exciting for us because we have a new radar. It relocated from Slidell west towards Hammond. So this is actually getting sampled right next to the ground. In fact, for the first time this morning, we're going to do this because it is so close to the radar. We can actually sample the winds with this, and it's going to be such good coverage of it because it's right next to the ground. Oops. Let's turn off the warnings there. Let's see. Well, that says meters per second. It should not say meters per second, but I can tell you a 25 meter per second wind is a pretty fast wind. I'm going to see if I can change that for just a moment. Let's see. Yeah, 25 meters per second is a pretty fast wind speed. It's at least 40 if I'm doing math correctly in my head.
Right. But within that severe thunderstorm warning, that area could see up to 60+ mile-an-hour winds. I know we saw that in western parishes towards New Roads earlier as that line moved through. We're seeing some pretty gusty winds outside of the WBRZ station when the line was moving through here, so I expect much of the same
Okay, we got the unit conversions. You know, as scientists, we love meters per second, but you all at home love miles per hour, and I think that's something we can all understand. There you see that 60-mile-per-hour velocity, and the winds are at least that strong. I won't get into the details of how radar velocities work, but the radar velocity or the velocities in this area are at least 60 miles per hour, likely greater than this. So that is something we're tracking closely. I'm moving through Livingston Parish, going into Tangipahoa Parish. I-55 travelers. This is not going to be a friendly storm, and it's going to move over your location pretty shortly. Okay, meteorologist Balin Rogers has actually moved locations. He's in St. Francisville taking a look, I believe, at some of the damage. Balin, can you tell us what you're seeing?
Yeah, we started off in Port Hudson, just north of Baton Rouge, and we started driving towards St. Francisville, where we were getting a lot of ports of damage and a lot of power outages as well. And the closer we got there, we kept on seeing more and more damage and getting worse and worse and worse. We passed several trees down, and now we're looking at widespread damage along the area. We got lots of limbs down in the road right in front of us. We're in a subdivision right now, and a lot of these roads are hard to pass because there is limbs down absolutely everywhere. We got residents around coming out of their homes trying to figure out what just happened, taking pictures, moving these limbs off the roadways. Just to our left, we actually have a tree down. It is on a couple of cars as well, and this is only one of many. There is trees down absolutely everywhere around here. If you pan just back towards the right, it's hard to see, but it's actually a uprooted tree. We're looking at the very back of it, and this is just a scene all around here. There is trees down everywhere, basically. Limbs down everywhere. Definitely got some extremely extensive winds move through this area, and this is not the only area affected. Like I mentioned, on that drive all the way up here, it was a lot of damage. Not as bad as we're seeing here in St. Francisville, but still noteworthy to cause power outages and downing trees, downing power lines. So these are very extensive storms. We're going to continue driving around, providing more updates on the damage around the area. But out in the field, Balin Rogers, WBRZ News 2.
Thank you, Balin, for that. And what we're looking at are some of the power outages, and obviously these numbers are in flux. We're going to get more data, and these numbers will likely rise, and they may even fall in some instances. There you see at least 75% of West Feliciana without power, and we saw quite a bit of damage out in that direction as a result. I also want to take you through some of the storm reports. We've got a few more of them in. Centerville, we have a report of wind damage around 840. Even Port Allen, so this is Baton Rouge, a report of wind damage at around 832. Let me look in the chat room for just a moment, see if we can expand upon that report near Port Allen.
Yeah, and so the storms that did this damage are the ones that are now moving towards the Tangipahoa Parish area. So keep that in mind. These winds are extremely strong along that line. So anyone to the east of Baton Rouge, really prepare for some gusty wind speeds out there.
Yeah, let's pull back up the radar because weary eyes, I'm having trouble finding it in the National Weather Service chat room, but we'll be able to find the information on this local storm report pretty easily. There we go with that Port Allen report. It looks like a tree down at 19th and Main. Okay, so that's the thunderstorm wind damage. Obviously, winds strong enough to blow down trees. We'll do a quick recap on the tornado watch for a moment. I want to tell everyone that we have some parishes taken out of this. At 9 a.m., areas west of Baton Rouge were removed from the tornado watch, and I think that's a good call. So St. Mary Parish, you're not in this anymore. Lafayette, Abbeville, Opelousas, Lake Charles, you're not in this anymore. This is until 1 o'clock for all the yellow shaded parishes, which is pretty much Iberville, Assumption, up towards West Feliciana and Wilkinson County, points east. You're going to remain in this. I would suspect that we'll see some of these parishes whittled out of here before too long. This is mainly a morning issue. I do not expect much severe weather this afternoon, which is certainly good news there. Real quick, I want to give a radar update for where these storms are. And Emma Kate, actually, the storms are probably over I-55 right now. If we could pull up, in fact, I'll pull up some of our traffic cameras on I-55. We'll probably see some very heavy rain moving in.
Yeah, definitely. As we zoom in here, just now making its way into western Tangipahoa Parish, right over 55, about to enter the Hammond area, that line of stronger storms and wind speeds. Amite City as well, Kentwood. You guys seeing some heavier downpours right now, gusty winds, Killian. Even further down towards the Livingston area. Y'all still getting a good bit of rain and probably gusty winds as well. Walker, Killian, Gonzales, Donaldsonville, definitely seeing. And like we mentioned, still seeing rain here in town, even some storm action behind that main line. And that's why we do have a flash flood warning issued for the Baton Rouge area. And we'll continue to see those showers throughout the next couple of hours, thankfully, not looking to be as gusty in the way of winds and strong.
Yeah, nothing's looking too crazy on our traffic cameras yet along I-55, but you can see that leading edge moving over right now. And of course, near Amite City, Hammond, this is going to be a thing before too long. Okay, it looks like we have another traffic update. Let's send it over to Lauren. She's got some new information.
All right, Malcolm and McKay, thank you very much. And right now, drivers, this is one of the traffic cameras Malcolm was telling you about on I-12 at I-55. Like he said, haven't really seen any heavy downpours yet, but soon will. So I'm going to keep monitoring this traffic camera. But a very important traffic camera right now. There's a wreck on the Mississippi River Bridge heading westbound. We've got 2 right lanes blocked with that scene very, very active. Multiple MAP trucks out. You see actually people on the scene trying to clear this area up. So very active. Obviously, definitely a big wreck that happened here. Now, because there are not a lot of drivers on the roadway right now, we're not seeing a crazy amount of traffic affected, but you do want to keep in mind that as you are traveling across the bridge this morning, heading westbound, you will run into an abrupt stop. So that's what's going to get you if you're not paying attention because of the weather. Right now, there are also some other problem spots. We've got a down power line causing LA1 to be completely closed heading north and southbound. That's going to be near Highway 78. You can see this entire stretch right here is indicated on the map completely closed at this time. So obviously we all know weather is a big contributor, if not the #1 contributor to all of these problem spots on the roadways. Right now around that West Feliciana High School, we've got power lines down on parts of Airline as well. Roadways shut because of downed trees. A lot happening because of the weather. So we're going to keep you updated on how it may affect your travel. But right now, the big thing, watch out on the bridge for an abrupt stop as you're heading westbound. Getting down off the bridge, there is a big wreck there causing 2 right lanes to be blocked with that scene very, very active. I'm going to keep you updated on this, but more importantly right now, how that weather is affecting everything around the area.
All right, Lauren, thanks for that. And yeah, it is a very, very, very busy Wednesday morning. As we've been telling you all morning long, most of the schools in our area are closed this morning. There you see the list of them. Most of the schools, including all public schools, private schools, universities, you name it, they're all schools. We've got a complete list for you if you want to check out where your school stands. That'd be at WBRZ.com. And we did talk to the superintendent of West Feliciana Parish Schools early, Hollis Milton, who tells us that they're going to be checking the schools today to see if they sustained any damage and what that means for class tomorrow. Here, university and office closures, LSU, Southern, you name it, they're closed. Fran U, all state and government office closed today. And the Metro Council meeting for tonight has been canceled. So the weather having an effect on not only school, but also on government offices.
And JP, you mentioned Superintendent Hollis Milton up in West Feliciana Parish. If you look here, we're taking a look at the DEMCO outage map. They are reporting 100% of West Feliciana without power this morning. 100% of West Feliciana without power. In East Feliciana, it's about 66%, about 4,000 people, and about 11,000 people, 31% in East Baton Rouge that are without power. This storm moved fast and made a big effect in all of our viewing area. If we can pull up that Entergy outage map now, on the Entergy outage map, it's actually a trip because from North Baton Rouge all the way up almost to the Mississippi state line, JP, all without power. The entire town of Baker, Zachary, all without power this morning. Trying to pull up some numbers for y'all while we're all looking at this live together. So in East Baton Rouge Parish, they're reporting about 15,000 people without power in East Baton Rouge Parish alone. Of course, we're going to continue to follow it. There's also outages in West Feliciana. Of course, we're going to continue to follow it. And we know that west of the river, JP, in that New Roads, Irwinville, Rosedale area, those folks also without power, and we know that they were under the gun of that tornado warning earlier this morning.
We were watching the energy map live as the storm blew through Baton Rouge, and we can tell you that we watched subdivision after subdivision, neighborhood after neighborhood, community after community. The power went out, and it turned red right there on the map. And as Brandy was just saying, it's like a red corridor all the way from Central and Baker up through Zachary, Slaughter, up to the Mississippi state line. power outages everywhere. Brandy, I think that's becoming the big story here is power outages all across South Louisiana because of this fast-moving, powerful storm.
And JP, it looks like I'm looking at the information we're getting. We are getting reports of hail in some areas. We're getting videos of heavy wind, heavy rain all throughout our viewing area, from Ascension to up like in Zachary, like we've been telling you. And as you're looking at this outage of map, thousands of people without power this morning as a result of this very fast-moving storm.
Yeah, we're going to try to get David Latona or David Freeze from the utility companies on the phone with us to see where they stand on this and maybe how long it's going to take to restore power in some of the hardest hit areas. But, you know, as each minute goes by, something changes with the weather. It is a very fast-moving system. Let's get right to Malcolm for the very latest. Malcolm, where do we stand now?
You know, the fast-moving nature of the system was bad for us in the fact that it brought a powerful gust of wind because the storm motion tacks on to the storm-generated winds, but at the same time, it means it gets out of here quickly, which is good news. This is transitioning more to a flooding threat now. You notice this report 2 miles southwest of Hammond. I got a flash flood report there around 8:17. In fact, in southern Tangipahoa Parish, we just had a flash flood warning come out that's going to go until 12:15. Doppler radar indicating thunderstorms producing heavy rain across the area of southern Tangipahoa Parish. Between 1 and 3 inches of rain have fallen. Additional amounts of 1 to 3 inches are possible because there is more rain to follow. Not as heavy, but still some light to moderate rain. I should note that many parishes have been taken out of the tornado watch, including St. Mary Parish. This is a good call because I don't think we're going to see any tornadoes from here on out in southwest Louisiana. The western edge of the tornado watch includes Iberville, Point Capee Parish. Baton Rouge is also within this, but I suspect there's going to be a point where we're whittled out of this probably before 1 o'clock. That's the expiration time. But New Orleans, Slidell, our friends out towards Bogalusa, Hattiesburg, Gulfport, that threat continues to march on east. There is the current radar perspective. And Emma Kate, if we could we zoom in a little closer to where that flash flood warning is? Of course, we have one in Baton Rouge. We'll get to that in just a second, but this is new information into the storm station. This includes Hammond. So people out towards Ponchatoula, Hammond, I-12 travelers in Tangipahoa Parish, you could be dealing with some very heavy rain. This is wave number 2 moving in right now, bringing the potential for 70-mile-per-hour winds. That's also an encouraging sign. The National Weather Service has been saying this line segment had the potential for 80-mile-per-hour winds for a long time. Now they're bumping this down to 70 as it has shown at least some signs of weakening. We like to see that. But Tangipahoa Parish has been dealing with some of this rain earlier on. That's why rain has already fallen in the region, again in the statement, about 1 to 3 inches. But let's zoom in a little closer and you'll see Hammond is about to see wave number 2. Its rain rates are really going to pick up in this region very, very shortly. In fact, if you are not inside, you're going to get wet very, very shortly. And it's going to bring that wind with it as well because there is a severe thunderstorm warning that surrounds that flash flood warning. Let's broaden out the view again. Let's head back a little closer to Baton Rouge. Notice the radar appearance isn't quite as angry near Baton Rouge, Zachary, Jackson, Plaquemine. But you see that flash flood warning in Baton Rouge as well as light to moderate rain continues to fall. I would expect maybe some isolated standing water concerns in the typical trouble spots. So if you are heading out, of course, I think many of us are heading out after this blast of rain. Be on the lookout for down trees, down power lines, also maybe some standing water concerns, and you even see a couple more flash flood warnings out to the west. And it looks like they were just cherry-picked, like they are just drawn on the map randomly. But what the Weather Service is doing is they are looking at estimated rainfall totals, and they are drawing those warnings accordingly. A little bit farther south, you see some heavy rain near Ascension Parish, but notice how this is becoming more of an east-to-west oriented line. I suspect even that is beginning to weaken, which is certainly good news. Hey, meteorologist Balin Rogers is joining us now. He is live in downtown. Mia Monet is in Baton Rouge. We'll send it over to her for the latest.
Thanks for that, Balin. I'm actually in North Baton Rouge right now. I've been riding through downtown and the North Baton Rouge area just looking for flooding and damage, and there has been a little bit of flooding that I found, but I really want to show you guys something. Now, I stumbled across this tree. Now, I'm going to zoom in. I'm actually standing on the corner of Main Street and North 19th Street. Now, this large tree broke right there in the center of the trunk, and we're actually near a cemetery. This is in the corner of a cemetery right here on the corner of Main Street and North 19th Street. And if you look through the cemetery, my photographer is going to go that way, there's actually another tree broken in that cemetery as well, a little bit further down, and it looks like it is on a tombstone. Now, this is just showing you the damage that this storm is causing. I have not seen much damage, but this is something that we've been able to stumble across as we've been driving through the downtown Baton Rouge area, waiting on the rain to slack up, which it looks like it's finally starting to do. But this is some serious damage that this tree has sustained. All of the branches are all in the street, all on the sidewalk, completely covering it. Thankfully, it did not take down the power line, because if you look up closely, the branches are actually mixed in there with the power line that is right here on this corner, and it could have been very dangerous. But once again, this is a huge tree that is down after some damage, just some damage of what this storm is causing and what the winds and the rain have been doing this morning. Now, this is all we've been able to find, but once again, this is just an example of what we've been able to find. And once again, we're standing right now on Main Street and North 19th Street. But we're going to continue to look for more damage, look for more flooding, and look for more things that we can possibly bring to you viewers at home. For now, reporting in Baton Rouge, I'm Mia Monet, WBRZ News 2.
Thank you for that, Mia. We just mentioned it a few seconds ago. If you're going to be out and about, be on the lookout for down power lines, down trees. We've been talking about it for the last several hours. Lots and lots of power outages, especially along and north of Baton Rouge, where we saw the strongest winds. Of course, we have a flash flood warning in effect for Baton Rouge as well. We're going to need to watch the potential for maybe some areas of flooding as well. Got an email from a viewer saying it is hailing in Geismar on Highway 30 and Highway 73. Looks to be about pea size, and that's in Ascension Parish. You can see some of those brighter reds there, and I don't see any pinks. Pea size it does not warrant a severe thunderstorm warning, but still a thunderstorm. Inconvenient. I especially don't like to drive and hail it. It kind of freaks me out when I hear it pinging on the windshield, because I do not like cracked windshields. I think I can speak for most of us when I say that. But we still have a very strong thunderstorm just to the east of Baton Rouge, and that is the leading edge of it, moving through Tangipahoa Parish. Looks like I-55 in central and northern Tangipahoa Parish not dealing with as strong of a wind anymore. Maybe still some gusty winds behind the leading edge of this, but this is soon going to move out of the WBRZ coverage area into Washington and St. Tammany Parish. A little bit farther south, you see Hammond. They have some really heavy rain right now, and then we go even farther south into Livingston Parish, and there you see the leading edge of that line as well. In fact, go farther south than McKay. This is interesting. It looks like we have storms beginning to merge in this region. I wouldn't be surprised. Think about just two storms colliding into one another. They can't go into the ground, at least the upward motions. They won't go into the ground. They go up. When two things combine, they go up. So I think you may see some intensification of some thunderstorm activity in this region, especially with regard to rain rates. So I wouldn't be surprised if in the Lake Pontchartrain and Maurepas region, we ended up seeing maybe some briefly heavier rain rates, maybe even a flash flood warning surrounding these areas. That'll be something we need to watch very closely over the next several hours. Of course, we still have a tornado watch in effect. If we could pull that up for just a second. That goes technically until 1 o'clock. Baton Rouge is still included within this. I suspect we will be taken out of this very shortly. I think the tornado threat really has winded down in Baton Rouge and areas northwest. Of course, we had that tornado warning a little earlier, very close to New Roads. It was very possible that we were dealing with a tornado there. It was a radar-indicated warning, but of course, if there is significant enough damage, the National Weather Service will send out survey crews out in that direction, and then they will determine based on the damage the strength of the tornado and estimate based off of that. But of course, now the storm's all marching east, and I would suspect that some of these parishes would be taken out shortly. In fact, southwest Louisiana no longer within a tornado watch. No tornado warnings in progress right now. That's what we'd like to see. Emma Kate, is that a new printout?
Yeah, it's an extension to the severe thunderstorm warning for parts of southeastern Tangipahoa Parish and parishes east as that system continues east. So definitely if you are in Tangipahoa, hopefully you are inside and just staying there, but definitely if not, head inside because that storm is trekking on through and will continue east over the next good bit.
Yeah, that's not surprising in any way, and that includes southeastern Tangipahoa Parish, including Manchac, Robert, and this goes out towards Covington and Mandeville as well. So I'm sure the folks in Covington and Mandeville are well aware that a strong storm is coming their way. But
you can see all the orange outlines out that way.
Those are
all the severe thunderstorm warnings.
If you have friends out that way, it may be worth giving them a call. What is encouraging is that the Weather Service is saying that we have the potential for up to 70-mile-per-hour winds with this as opposed to 80 miles per hour. Of course, our phones went off here at Channel 2 a little earlier, and that's because the National Weather Service decided, yes, this is severe enough of a thunderstorm where we want to trigger EAS alerts. We want to trigger your phones to alert you to the threat, and I do not believe that meets the criteria to trigger those EAS alerts a little bit farther to the east. But Tangipahoa Parish is on the eastern edge of the Channel 2 coverage zone, and I think as we go over the next couple of, I'd say next half hour to an hour, the severe weather threat begins to wrap up in the capital area.
Yeah. Definitely could deal with some rain behind, and that's why we still have that flash flood warning here in the Baton Rouge area. But other than that, the threat altogether seems to be continuing east.
And what's interesting, Emma Kate, is you see a couple of flash flood warnings out there. I'll just count them real quick. Actually, let's keep it on the wide perspective because I'll count them. I see. Let's go a little closer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, a lot of flash flood warnings. Let's show you where the flood watch is, though. And last night we saw the flood watch mainly north of Baton Rouge, but it didn't matter. We see areas even south of that flood watch even dealing with some localized flooding. So everyone's got the potential for maybe some localized standing water concerns. That is certainly something we are going to be watching closely over the next couple of hours as this transitions more from a severe weather threat to more of a potentially flooding concern. Do we have any updates from news back there, guys? Yes, we do. Okay, let's send it over to Brandy and JP. We've got some updates.
Welcome. Thanks for that. And we've been getting some amazing pictures and videos from you, the viewers, showing some incredible damage from this fast-moving storm. We want to share some of those with you. Just many of you probably have seen images like this because we've seen some really unbelievable stuff.
That's right. If our producers can pull that up for us so that we can, yes, this was Balin Rogers up there in West Feliciana Parish. Now, we are getting reports of severe damage in West Feliciana. I can tell you just in the last few minutes, we've continued to follow DEMCO's outage maps. West Feliciana still 92% without power this morning. This is where Balin was. You see that man there starting to clean up. Do we have any more images that we can continue to show? Yes, we have fallen trees all along the area. Not just fallen, JP, completely uprooted.
Yeah, you see the root systems there. That's a huge oak tree, courtesy of Jeremy Felton. Jeremy, thanks for being our eyes and ears on the ground, but great job of getting that. And that's one of the trees that came so close to hitting the house that was behind it. But some houses were not as lucky in West Feliciana Parish as that the trees did fall on them. Look at this one, Brandy.
We're also looking at this. You see heavy wind, heavy rain, not a lot of visibility in that area. JP, we've been getting a lot of these videos coming out of West Baton Rouge. I'm not exactly sure where Andrea Greco got this one. Just keep it playing, y'all. I'm going to pull up all the information that we have in front of us.
Thanks to all you viewers for sending these in. These are so valuable when we try to gauge the power of this storm and what it did as it moved through so quickly. And many of you are still under the gun right now, are seeing images like this in your backyards, in your neighborhoods, as the storm continues to push east.
That's right. This video we're seeing here from Andrea, I believe, came from West Baton Rouge. Of course, we have more pictures and videos. We want to continue to get more information from you as you see it. We have Mia Monet out there live. She was in near Mid-City in Baton Rouge at North 19th and Main Street at a cemetery there. I think most people know it right there. Lots of trees falling. And whenever we have high winds like we've had with this storm system, of course, trees fall. We're worried about people's roofs, potential for flash flooding. Of course, we've got a lot going on. We have a lot of power outages. We've been talking to Entergy and DEMCO. We've been keeping a close eye on what's going on with their outage maps. So let's talk to, I think it's David Latona with Entergy this morning.
No, David Latona with DEMCO. David, good morning. Tell us what you're seeing. How many customers are affected?
Good morning, JP, Brandy. Thanks so much for helping us get the word out. Right now, we are just above 20,000. I believe it's 20,300 folks or members who are without power at this time, a large portion of that in your East Baton Rouge viewing area. However, there is folks in West Feliciana that are out as well, and that is a larger percentage of those members that are in the parish. And I know a lot of times those tornado-type cells pass through, and it does a lot of damage in that area of West Feliciana. So our crews are responding and preparing to give it full force as soon as the weather passes and it is safe for them to do so.
David, we're going to ask you, how is the weather faring now? Is it passing far enough to the east of us, allowing your crews to actually get into those areas? Because I know you don't want to send them into harm's way, but to try to get this power restored, when are they going to be able to get out there and start the restoration process?
Sure, in some of those western areas, we stretch from West Feliciana all the way over to Tangipahoa Parish, and this storm is going to rake across our system as it makes its way across the landscape. But those western parishes, of course, we're watching those to be able to respond first once that storm has passed. But we want to make sure that our crews remain safe and they can respond and then return to their homes, of course.
So, David, when we're looking at that, we have their power outage map up right now, and it's saying 92% of West Feliciana without power. We've gotten some reports of severe damage in West Feliciana. Have you gotten any notifications of what exactly is going on or how long restoration times could take?
Sure thing. A lot of times in that rural community, we have lines and conductors that pass through areas that have many trees. It's the vegetation that gives us the trouble right now, those falling trees that are making damage to that conductor or even the poles themselves. So we're watching that. It is, like I said, that's a large percentage of those members that we serve in that parish. But our crews are prepared to respond, and they're used to this. But they'll take every safety precaution necessary and respond accordingly.
David, we talk about this all the time. Number one thing on your minds, on our minds, and the viewers' minds is safety. What would you tell your customers and the folks out there as they wait to have their power restored, whether they're using generators or whatever? What would be the number one thing you would tell them on how to stay safe during this fast-moving storm?
Excellent question, JP. The most, I guess our biggest request is patience. We want to be sure that we respond accordingly, and that we have safety protocols that we abide by and we are proud of, and we want to make sure that our crews are able to respond to get the members' power on. And we certainly want that patience as this outage is, as we bear this outage. It's never fun, but we want to make sure that our members are safe and our employees are safe, and of course the entire community is safe.
What do you see, with so many outages, and again, we're looking at your map right now, seeing a lot of red on there. In fact, Brandy and I were looking, and not only, Demco, but Energy, we were seeing this red corridor going all the way from Baker, Zachary, Slaughter, all the way up to the Louisiana-Mississippi line. It was an incredible looking sight to see so many people without power. What's going to be the biggest challenge, you think, as we go forward, as you try to get that power restored later today and tomorrow?
I think that damage to our infrastructure is the most difficult. We can get fuses that come out and can go right back in, but when you have storms like this, we're going to see damage to poles, wire, and that's where our crews need to come in and make that repair. In many cases, bring in new material to make repair to whether it's wooden structures or metal structures or even the conductors. That's where the time is going to take to be careful, ensure that we're putting back our infrastructure the way it was, but making that repair so that our members are restored.
And actually, David, Demco just sending out a press release on information as crews begin to restore power in some of those widespread power outages. As you said, there's a lot of vegetation up there in West Feliciana, and with reports of severe damage. We've got crews headed that way now, so hopefully we'll get a better image. But are your crews already staged to respond to those restorations, or are you going to have to get guys there?
Yes, ma'am. They are staged. Our districts are located throughout our service territory. So there is already a team of employees that are there. They work that area. They know that community. Many live in that community, but they're positioned to respond already, complete with the manpower, but then also the materials and the things that they need to respond.
David, this is a pretty widespread event, and as you said, lots of people affected by this, and we've talked to you many times when we've had events like this, or whether it's hurricanes or what. We did have some reports of gust up with hurricane force type winds. Is this going to be one of those events where you have to call in or rely on maybe crews from other areas, other states to help out?
We certainly have that capability. We'll go through that assessment process. And what we do is we know how much equipment and manpower is necessary, and we have that cooperative agreement with other electric co-ops around the southeast region and then also the nation if we need it. But that will be something we will be assessing in order to determine whether or not we'll bring them in. We just don't know just yet.
Oh, thank you so much, David. Of course, we're going to continue to reach out to you to get more information about these outages, especially in that West Feliciana area, where we're getting lots of reports of severe damage there. More than 90% of the DEMCO customers in West Feliciana without power this morning. So obviously, lots of wind, lots of rain, fallen trees, reports of fallen trees in that area. And really just taking a look at that map, JP, and the Entergy outage map, it really just is a testament to how quick and how strong this storm has been.
Yeah, David, be sure to reach out to us again if you have any important information you want to get across to your customers and our viewers. Let us be your community connection, your source to get that information out there, because during times like this, as we try to get the power back on and keep people safe, you all become so important to the viewers out there, and we really appreciate you calling in.
Absolutely. An important key to that patience is getting that messaging out and communicating with our membership, and you guys certainly help out with that. We appreciate it.
All right, thank you so much, David. David Latano with DEMCO. Of course, JP, this has been a very active situation all morning long. The warnings and watches have changed, and it's been ongoing all morning as this storm quickly and very strongly comes through the area.
And as David said, they really can't get out with their crews and start making repairs until the storm has passed, because obviously they don't want, with all that lightning that we saw earlier and strong winds, they don't want to put their workers, those utility workers, out in harm's way. But again, this storm is still, it's fast moving, and it's starting to take aim and target to points to the east of us. So let's get right to Malcolm to find out the very latest on where we stand now.
Well, it is beginning to push out of the Channel 2 coverage area, fortunately, and I think the severe weather threat will wrap up in the next hour or two, and we'll just continue to see some light to moderate rain, even a couple embedded rumbles of thunder. Our weather inbox is being flooded with viewer pictures and video, and let me tell you what, we really appreciate it, because ground truth is everything when it comes to severe weather events. This video is sent in by Amy in Maurepas. Look at that. You can see that wind-driven rain. I can't even tell if there may be some embedded hail within that. We have received some reports of hail across the storm station forecast area, so you can see the power of these straight-line winds as they rush through the area. I do want to show you this, too. This was the severe weather risk for today, and you can see that level 4 out of 5 risk zone, mainly along and north of Baton Rouge. And this is really well drawn by the National Weather Service, because that is about where we saw the worst of the severe weather. Still had severe thunderstorm warnings a little bit farther south earlier on, when we had that level 3 out of 5 risk for severe weather. But that was the target zone for sure. As we look at current warnings now, I've taken off the radar display because, well, with the warnings on there, lightning, radar, it is a lot. There you see all the warnings pushing out of the Channel 2 coverage area. We still have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Ascension Parish down towards St. James, northern Assumption Parish, but I think the worst of it is beginning to move closer to New Orleans. We have these severe thunderstorm warnings for far southeastern Tangipahoa Parish, Washington, St. Tammany Parish. Again, the worst of it pushing east of here. There's the current radar perspective, the leading edge of the line capable of producing 70-mile-per-hour winds. Now moving into Washington and St. Tammany Parish. We do see this bright red reflectivity, this burst of rainfall in southern Tangipahoa Parish, moving over Lake Pontchartrain. And we mentioned this. There are actually two areas of storms merging together, and I suspected that those storms would become a little bit stronger as a result and produce some heavier rain. So this is also an area to watch for a flooding risk. You see storms extending back farther west into Ascension Parish, but these have a little more bark than they do bite. I think that these ones are a little bit weaker. There in Baton Rouge, you see some lighter rain, light to moderate rain at times, and this will continue at least for the next 1 to 2 hours. Across the board, average rainfall generally between 1 and 2 inches across the Channel 2 coverage area, but this specific area right here, we've seen a lot of rain this morning, and we continue to see a lot of rain right now, and it's kind of running over the same locations. You see some of these blue colorations in Ascension Parish near Gonzales, Sorrento, Donaldsonville, up towards Maurepas. That was where we got that video from Amy of that very heavy rain that we just shared with you. There you see in St. John Parish some heavy rain as well. The potential 3 to 4 inches. At least that's what the radar is estimating, and there is more rain to fall on top of that. We are still getting storm reports, of course, minute by minute. Here are some of the latest ones. You see flash flooding being reported 2 miles southwest of Hammond at 8:17. But we have wind damage reports in Centerville around 8:40. Port Allen, so just across the river. Actually, this is 2 miles east of Port Allen, so that actually might be east of the river into East Baton Rouge Parish at 8:32. Report of wind damage. A 60-mile-per-hour wind gust 1 mile east-northeast of St. Francisville. New Roads, a 62-mile-per-hour wind gust, and as we've heard throughout our coverage in the last several hours, there is quite a bit of damage. I'm going to pull up the step off camera and pull up the tornado watch for just a moment, just to remind everybody where that is in effect. And some of our southwestern parishes in Louisiana have been removed from the tornado watch entirely. That includes Lafayette, Morgan City, Abbeville, Lake Charles, Iberville Parish. East Baton Rouge Parish still included within this, but I think we can rest a little bit easier in Baton Rouge now. I think the threat is significantly lower. That technically goes in through 1 o'clock this afternoon, but it is not uncommon to see parishes being taken out a little bit early. So we're going to continue to monitor that data and make sure there's no other threat. And then the National Weather Service and Storm Prediction Center will actually collaborate together and make a call on whether or not to take out the tornado watch. And then we go a little bit farther east. Emma Kate, I see you holding a piece of paper. Is that a new printout?
More areas put in a flash flood warning, including Ascension Parish, Northeastern Assumption, South Central East Baton Rouge Parish, Southeastern Iberville, parts of Livingston and St. James. And that's what we're seeing now. We had those strong storms move through earlier today, and now behind that, dealing with flash flood issues around pretty much all of Southeast Louisiana as those rainfall amounts keep adding up with just moderate rainfall behind it.
Yeah, and we've been mentioning that as the severe weather continues to push east, this transitions more into a flooding issue. Just certainly not dealing with widespread flooding, but some localized standing water. There are actually a couple of things you need to look out for because we did have severe weather earlier. Down power lines, down trees. There are a lot of down trees. Of course, we had a live shot with Mia Monet. She showed you some of those trees down in Baton Rouge. Of course, Balin a little farther northwest out towards West Feliciana Parish.
And of course, if you do have plans to head out on those roadways, do watch for standing water with those down power lines, probably a bunch of down street lights as well. So make sure to be very, very safe on those roadways. Use caution as you're headed out there.
And we'll take a closer look at that flash flood warning. And you may notice that that flash flood warning in Ascension Parish, I mean, this goes west into Iberville Parish too. It includes White Castle, just north of Napoleonville. Napoleonville is not technically included in that polygon, but it does clip northern Assumption Parish. You notice that darker coloration, more that brown color. That means, if I'm not mistaken, that we have reported flood. That is correct. The emergency management has reported flash flooding in the region. The Weather Service is saying 3 to 5 inches of rain has already fallen. That is consistent with what we've seen with the Doppler radar estimated rainfall totals, and additional rain amounts of 2 to 4 inches are possible. Because you may notice these storms are all moving northeast, and you see all of these storms to the southwest. And where are they headed? They're headed this direction. So we're seeing rain falling in the same location. This is heavy rain too. It's not light stuff. It's heavy rain. So the flash flood warning makes sense, especially because flash flooding is already ongoing, and there's the potential for more rain on the way. We also mentioned that there's these bright reflectivities in southern Tangipahoa Parish, southeastern Livingston Parish. I do think there's a lot of gusty winds with this. Just when there's heavy rain, that rain cooler all descends to the ground. It spreads out in all directions, and you can easily see 40 to 50 mile per hour gusts with that. In fact, for a moment, let's see what the wind speeds are looking like across the region. So you see Hammond gusting up to 40 miles per hour. So there's that 40 to 50 mile per hour gust, but much improvement in Baton Rouge, gust of 23 miles per hour. And notice the wind direction too out of the northwest. That's an indicator of cooler air moving in. Obviously we have rain cooled air right now, and that just goes to show that I think the severe weather threat will be wrapping up. I should note we do have wind advisories in effect today, even outside of thunderstorms.
Right, until 6 p.m. or later.
That's right, and so even outside of thunderstorms, it should get pretty gusty. I want to show you that video again because this is just really impressive video. My goodness. Thank you to Amy, by the way, and we really appreciate all of the video we are getting from you. This was taken in Maurepas. Just look at that. power of the thunder, or the power of the thunderstorm, and you can actually see the flashes of lightning. There may be some embedded hail within this. We've seen a couple of tornado warnings a little bit earlier on, and the hope is that none were confirmed, but of course, if we see any significant enough damage reports, the National Weather Service will send field crews out to survey the damage and see if there were any tornadoes. But either way, outside of tornadoes, those would be more on a localized scale. Just about everyone saw a good blast of wind as those storms rolled through. It was very interesting. It'll be interesting to kind of roll back the tape a little bit later on and see what those storms looked like as they moved into Baton Rouge. We saw a shelf cloud, which marked the leading edge of the wind as it moved into the capital city. It had an ominous appearance, and once it passed through, things really began to deteriorate. So we're getting lots of videos like this. Of course, if you have any videos, pictures, we want to see it. Ground truth is everything when it comes to this. It helps us even make better forecasts in the future. So we would love to see your pictures and video. Feel free to send that to us at weather@wbrz.com. Looks like the worst of it's finally pushing to the east, but still watching that heavy rain as it continues to move off towards the east. Again, still in that tornado watch, but again, I think we have a much lower threat now. Looks like we have a new printout, Emma Kate.
Nothing new to add right now, Malcolm.
Oh, looks like that's an area forecast discussion. Yeah, so nothing to concern you guys. Yeah, man, look at that video. Just so impressive. Looks like we have another news update. We'll send it back to Brandy and JP. What an active morning, guys.
Yeah, you're right about that, Malcolm. Our viewers, they are the best reporters when it comes to severe weather.
That's right.
Many of them have been sending in pictures, videos to show us what happened when this fast-moving storm moved through their area. And the severe weather, the threat, is moving to the east, and now it's turning into a big power outage problem. That's becoming the big story.
Right. Are we going to show the video, or are we going to take that photo first? Let's show some of this video. So this is up in St. Francisville. As you can see, down trees. We've already been reporting for you more than 90% of the people in West Feliciana Parish without power this morning. DEMCO and Entergy, working in tandem to make sure that all of the outages get addressed. But of course, you're seeing down trees there, and we're getting lots of videos. Malcolm showed you video of strong winds and rain. We have more pictures and video coming in. We have down trees, completely uprooted trees in some areas. If you go to our website, wbrz.com, we're starting to post some of that, some of those damaged pictures. As you can see here, this is a down tree. We see that man out there walking around. This is where our meteorologist Balin Rogers was. Now let's get on the phone with Entergy, where they are seeing also, JP, very widespread outages from north of Baton Rouge through Baker, Zachary, all the way through the Mississippi state line.
Joining us, our friend with Entergy, David Freeze, who's had a very busy morning. David, good morning. So tell us where you stand, how many outages you're seeing, and what's the plan moving forward?
Hey, good morning. Yes, so we're looking at the outage map now, and there's approximately 80,000 customers that are without power across the state. Some 19,000 customers are right here in the East Baton Rouge area, and that storm just really packed a punch. We knew that it was going to come with some high winds, but I have to say, some of the pictures and video and some of the reports that are rolling in already from the field show some damage to our equipment. I've seen poles on the ground, wire on the ground, and just some damage that's going to take a rebuild, if you will, in certain spots. So the restoration process, it will take time, but I mean, that's what we do here at Entergy, and of course our friends at DEMCO as well will be doing the same. We're going to be responding as quickly and as safely as possible. That's going to be key, because this system is still moving across the state right now, and in some spots we may not be able to get our buckets in the air until the winds die down, but where it's safe to do so, we're going to be getting out there and getting at it as soon as we can.
David, we've been getting pictures from across our viewing area and even beyond. As we're showing some of this video of these super strong winds, we have videos and pictures of power lines leaned over, power lines down. How bad is the damage? Do you think some folks will get power back today, or this may be a long, ongoing restoration process?
You know, I think that remains to be seen. We're going to have to get out in the field and determine, okay, what does it look like on this street? What does it look like over here on this street? And it's going to vary based on damage, as you indicated. So, you know, for one street, it may take, you know, just putting a couple poles in the ground, putting the wire back in the air. Other streets, it may be more complicated. So this is going to vary. There's going to be an assessment phase, and that's ongoing right now. So we have crews that are actually in the field. They're doing things simultaneously. They're restoring power where it's safe to do so. They're also indicating to our local network, hey, here's what resources and materials we need deployed to those locations. And so this is going to take a little bit of time. And, you know, as we always do, we formulate estimated times of restoration. And we try to provide to our customers as soon as possible, because we know that they're going to want to plan. They're going to want to know, hey, am I going to have power this evening? Is it going to be tomorrow? And we want to get that information to them. So that's what we're in the process of doing right now. It'll be ongoing. But, yes, I can see some of this work taking a little bit of time.
Yeah, and David, you said roughly about 80,000 people, and that number could go, 80,000 customers, and that number could go even higher with the storm still moving eastward into affecting some of your customers and those parishes to the east. What areas have you seen were the hardest hit? Because we've seen some incredible images on your maps just showing this like a red corridor all the way from Baton Rouge up to the Mississippi state line. What areas were the hardest hit in terms of what energy does?
Yeah, and so a lot of times of course, you know, folks look at the map, the red indicates the power is out in that particular location. But here with this case, it's very scattered. There's widespread scattered distribution level power outages. So what that means is that, you know, we have power that needs to be restored in Baton Rouge as far west as Lake Charles, as far north as Monroe. So this particular event packed a little bit of a punch, and yes, the outages will be fluctuating up and down as we restore power throughout the day, and there is the possibility for additional outages to occur as those high winds continue. Those tree limbs and branches just fall and impact our lines, and again, we'll be restoring power at the same time. So those numbers could fluctuate, but again, we're going to be here. We're going to be here for the long haul. We'll get the lights back on for our customers, and we ask them to really remain vigilant, especially after the weather crosses through, because that can be the most dangerous part of a storm. When you go outside your house and you're assessing, you know, your yard, you're picking things up, you're not going to know whether or not downed electrical equipment is actually energized. So please keep your distance from that. If you see a power line, you use electrical equipment on the ground, keep your distance and call that in to Entergy, and let us come out and take care of that equipment for you.
All right, David Freese with Entergy. Thank you so much. 80,000 folks without power, customers without power this morning. Of course, they're going to be working to get that restored. David, make sure you call in and let us know about updates on restoration times. If there's any more emergency information that we need to get to the public, we'd love to be able to help to give out that information. Yeah, David, we appreciate you calling in, and let us be your source, your community connection to get that information out. You know, you're saying is we power life, well, we power knowledge, and when the two come together, we help those folks get that power back on as soon as possible. We really appreciate your help.
Appreciate the partnership, y'all. Take care. Be in touch.
All right, busy morning for Entergy and Demco. 80,000 people, and he said about 19,000 just right here in East Baton Rouge Parish. You see many of those outages on the Entergy map we have pulled up for you live right here. That's right. And as you can see here, from north of Baton Rouge, Central, Baker, Zachary, even past the Mississippi state line in Woodville, then on the west side of the river, around New Roads, Irwinville, Rosedale, lots of people are without power. As he just said, 80,000 customers without power. Now, our storm station meteorologist, Malcolm Byron, has been working so hard. Malcolm, what's the very latest with the forecast?
Yeah, check out this video. I want to show you this again. This was sent in by Amy in Maurepas, and boy, heavy rain. A lot of wind, too. This is wind-driven rain. There may have been some embedded hail within this. Unfortunately, I think a lot of the strong to severe weather is beginning to push out of the Channel 2 coverage area. We still see severe thunderstorm warning, which actually looks like Ascension Parish was taken out of this. You can see the northern tip of Assumption Parish still included, but I do think in this area, things look pretty innocent on radar. You see all these warnings to the east. Look at that, a new tornado warning just north of Slidell. That, by far, is where the leading edge of all the strong thunderstorm activity is. We are going to have to watch potential for some flooding, especially south of Baton Rouge near Ascension Parish, but we still have some light rain in Baton Rouge. Of course, we are receiving lots of reports of damage and storm reports. We really appreciate that, and please keep it up. Send it to us at weather@wbrz.com or news@wbrz.com. We will be compiling this all together in the next several minutes to hours and have more information on our later newscasts. Thank you for joining us this morning. We are now going to send it back to regular programming. We'll see you back here at noon.